This is BlissVille, Misadventures in BlissVille. I'm David Lawler, and I'm here with my very good friend and co-host for this episode, Colin Hall. Last four digits of your social.
Very cute.
And we're going to be entertaining you, I hope, at least. I don't think we will. But you guys might be like, if you listen to this, if you stumble on it on the internet or something like that, through the interwebs, you might say, my God, I just heard the most ridiculous thing the other day. You've got to hear this, and then hopefully we'll be able to talk about it. What do you think, buddy?
Take it from there, right?
First, I want to talk about, you had, today is, you will, if you're good. You're not going to be good, you're not going to be on it. Today's Thanksgiving.
Listen to Daddy.
November 27th, 2014, and Colin is over here to have Thanksgiving dinner with us. It's almost done, by the way. It just needs to settle. Everything is, the little thermometer thing on the turkey popped up. Anyway, you're not going to hear this probably until December. I don't know when we're going to be able to get it out, because it is the end of November, people.
Understandable.
Exactly. Yeah. So, he came over for Thanksgiving dinner, but he had a sidestep. He had to go in and check in on his neighbors to make sure that they were okay and everything, and they're like, oh yeah, we're okay, fine, we're everything. And then what happened after that, Colin?
Well, my visit was a little more extended than what I was expecting. I mean, I was glad to go see him and all, but it's just that I ended up spending a longer time than what I really wanted to. They didn't really want me to leave, and then someone asked me to do a favor at the last minute, go run the store for them. Someone else was supposed to do it, but that person was a little.
But this is, yeah.
Hmm?
This is a family. Yeah, you were not a member of this family, and they adopted you to go and do this.
Well, I'm kind of more like an extended member of the family. Our people kind of look alike. We kind of think in the background somewhere that maybe it's possible that I really am related to these people because they come from like the same down south, like South Carolina and
But
North
you're
Carolina.
not.
But,
That's not the
it
origin.
hasn't been established that I'm related to these people, but they kind of consider me extended family.
Is it because you're black? Is it because they were black and they look at you as black and
black with Native American mixture? But no, it's not just. It's also
you're more Caribbean in your blood, though, right?
I have both. I'm American, Dave. I'm just black American. I've never been to the Caribbean. My father came from there, but I've never been there, so I consider myself just black American. I have, some Native American ancestry running through me, a little bit of Irish, and then my father's from...
You got Irish in you!
A little bit. There's a minor
so you enjoy your potatoes.
It's not...
As long as they're deep fried.
Well, I like potatoes of different sorts. Deep fried, I
enjoy
mashed.
potatoes.
I just like potatoes in general, and I like sweet potatoes too, not just white potatoes.
I love sweet and white and everything that is.
Definitely.
I enjoy caramelized too. I'm into caramel potatoes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like caramel, period. So.
No, I was actually just coming on to you. But
it's funny.
Anyway, the issue was you had gone and done a service for these people because they were too drunk off their asses to do anything. And he calls me up and tells me this at 1 o'clock, so I'm like, okay, these people are wasted at 1 o'clock. They haven't even had their Thanksgiving dinner. And you have to go and run errands for them. You're being nice.
Well, how this is, to be honest with you, my friend, is that this is people that I've known like ever since I was a little, like, say for instance, there's a little young lady in the house. She's a few years younger than me. I knew this family before she was even born.
Yes.
And I've been close to these people for years. They knew my grandmother before she passed, and we're considered like kind of a close-knit, neighbors / extended family.
Yes.
And I didn't mind going to visit them at the last minute. I was there like 11-something. It might have been like a little after 11:30 or something like that. I thought I was going to be out of there a little after 12 and then start making my way over here, and I might even got here early. But
they have problems, and
there's a lot
Colin
of
could
there's
stay
a
a little bit
cursing.
longer.
Yeah. My presence seemed to tame. What you have is 3 generations of woman. One very young, another one is a senior citizen, but just not as old as her own mother. Obviously, no one's old as their own mother. But you understand what I'm saying? There's 3 different. There's a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter there, and All is not always well between these clucking three. There's a lot of disharmony. I think they're getting on each other's nerves.
But I think the real emphasis on this would be that you care about these people.
Yeah, and they care about me too. It's not one-sided.
You want to make sure they're okay for their holiday and everything. Obviously,
if
this younger lady, this young lady here had
the youngest one out of the three.
She had some issues. Obviously, if she was drinking very early, she wanted to. People who drink, they tend, especially that early, because I know from experience, I tend to drink. They want to escape from certain problems or whatever they might be.
When he drinks.
Tell me about it.
It's really good. Tell me about that. But you are there as an altruistic person, and I remember I once asked my mother a long time ago.
Good word.
I asked my mother if there was one quality or word that you could use to describe me. I think I was like 14 or 15 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one word that you could describe me with, what would it be? And she said, altruistic. Right? And the thing is...
Nice description.
But the thing is, she said altruistic as though it were a dirty word.
Of course. It were
like a really bad word to have. And when you look up altruism in the dictionary, it says someone who is extremely friendly, nice, and considerate and caring for their fellow man. That's the definition of altruism. And I was like, why? Why do you say it in such a bad way? Because there are characteristics that we have, some of us, the better of us, I would say, are the people who want to look out for their fellow man.
Thank you.
It's often at the cost of themselves.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a concurrent theme. That seems to be running through a lot of behavior. We find that people are often trying to help other people, and usually it's at our own expense that we do it.
Oh, very much.
And I remember you told me the story of probably a person who was very nice, I guess, but you were telling me about how you took care of her children, and you did it without pay.
Primarily. I was getting maybe slightly financial reimbursement for my car fare, but I wasn't really being compensated for
your
my
car
time,
fare is the New York City transit system, which is roughly about $5 a day or a little bit more.
Whenever I come back and forth out there, but I was staying overnight, and I was not really being. I got a couple of times I got a tip. I should have probably been making at least $100 per week for this kind of thing.
Actually,
staying out there 3 nights.
The thing is, if you were in a situation with people who could afford to pay, nannies, which is what you were kind of a nanny. I would call it a manny because you're a man.
Yeah, I like that.
I go back to our friend Celia on this, who's a professional nanny. She's done this kind of work for people, and she was paid very well by a lot of people. She tended to work for people on the Upper West Side. They made money and everything. She took care of the kids. She's trustworthy. It's not something you have to worry about with her. And I'm assuming with you too. I don't think you're going to go nuts like a lot of nannies do that we read in the paper about, who go and kill children. I don't know how they do that. It's a lot of work to actually kill children. They tend to struggle quite a bit, I have to say. But,
and if you know what you're doing, you can sneak up on them. But see, that's the thing. It's not in my heart. I'd rather just leave the thing. I'd rather just separate myself from the situation before I go and do something as sick as to go just kill someone's child because I lost my patience.
I'm sure this woman's children had you.
It was fun sometime, to be honest, and then sometime I couldn't stand it. But see, even when it's fun, I never really wanted to be a babysitter. I was helping this young lady, not just on her sake, but on the verge of her brother, who I went to high school with.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. The reason why you went and did this is because you had a previous relationship.
I was friendly with their family as well as the ones in my building that we were just talking about. I even was at their mother's funeral when they passed.
Yes.
And their father.
You're a friend of the family.
Yeah.
And you were a trusted person. And
yeah.
In my opinion, they took advantage of your trust in a way.
Well, hey, welcome to being human.
Yes.
Luckily, not every human being does this, but it's a very common theme in human reality, is that someone who is altruistic will many times be trampled upon. It's almost like no good deed goes unpunished, the kind of world we live in sometimes.
Yes.
There are people who are rewarded for their good, but it's not guaranteed. I'm not an opportunist, but I just want to be appreciated
You are not an opportunist.
No,
that's the one thing I'd say. There's not a streak of opportunism in your body. I would say that you are an extremely generous person with your time. And time
and patience
is the most important thing.
It's one of the very most important things.
To give someone your time is a generous thing.
The more you give, the more of a sacrifice, you know?
Yeah, when I had started talking about setting up this podcast, I had spoken to a great many people. And pretty much all of them were like, oh yes, let's do this. It sounds exciting. I want to do it. So I figured these are people who are giving you their time. And their time is generous. Because we all have things to do. I have to take care of a child. I have to go up and check on the turkey in a few minutes. I'm doing this Thanksgiving thing, and I entertain my friends and everything. Now it seems to me that these people took advantage of your time and did not consider you in that prospect.
I would say that's a mixed bag. What you have in my situation is where, even though I live on the same floor and I'm in the same building with these people, primarily the same address, they don't see me like every day, and I don't think they were trying to abuse my patience. Like, in other words, I would not consider them. This family that lives in my building. They are not in the same category as the young lady who took advantage of me with her children. That's one thing I want to get straight and put on record.
Yeah.
That they're not. They actually have looked out for me in the past and bought me food when I was starving. So I'm kind of just basically.
But it is interesting in that they would.
This is a better class of people, though. I want to get that straight, though. If I'm going to make a sacrifice, I'd rather do it for them than for someone ungrateful like the other person that we were talking about, the latter.
Yes, but you came to
that.
them to seek them out to see if they were okay for the holiday and everything was cool and how you doing, happy holidays and all that. But you still wind up having to do some shopping for them. You went and did some shopping for them, right?
It's not so much what I did. It was that it's like if I could have did that without it interfering with my schedule, because I went early enough where I could have did that. But what I was annoyed with was that it kind of came upon me when I was ready to depart. If it would have came like when I was, a little bit after I first got there and I got it over with and knocked it out, I thought that would have been okay. It would have interfered with my schedule. But I kept telling these people, okay, I have to go. And I wasn't like real firm about it, but I was dealing with someone who was really supposed to be doing that instead of me, and she wanted to go with me outside and get some air.
Right.
And she didn't even really go out in the street because she ran into some of the lobby. And I told her just talk to this person for now, and I'll go ahead and get that. That was what I wanted because I really wanted to just do it myself and get it over with. And
is she a pretty lady? Is she attractive?
Not my type, but she has a lover. He lives in another state.
Everyone has a lover in some respect.
I don't know. I don't have anybody right now. Not that I'm.
I'm sure you're going to get a lot of calls from ladies after this goes up on the thing. Colin, you know what? I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you, Colin. I swear to God, I will.
I want someone to look out for me, and I want to be in position to take care of them and look out for them too. As I told you, I'm not
like my daughter. My daughter who is wafting around here and walking around. My daughter is absolutely in love with Colin, and she's unapologetic about it. She absolutely loves him. She's like acting like suddenly she's clamming up. She's not saying anything. Yeah.
Well, I'm flattered, and I've been in love with her too. At age appropriate. I mean, she's a little girl. I'm a grown man.
She's a good-looking girl.
I must say, I think
she'll probably grow up to be a beautiful young woman.
Oh, of course. Come on. I look at her parents, and I can see how beautiful she's. She's got good-looking parents. So.
Okay. All right.
But it's just one of these things.
The thing is,
it's hard for me to tell people no, especially people I care. But if I don't really like you that much, and I don't like enemies. I like friends better than enemies. I know how to say no, but it's just difficult for me to do it. These are people that you really care about, and especially when we're talking about people that care back. That's what I had today. These are people that do care back about me. They didn't want me to go not because they were being selfish. It's more like they really don't get to see me a lot. A lot of times sometimes they'll look for me. I'm not home. And the other person that we were talking about, however, we're not even on speaking terms. And I'm regretful that it happened, but not on my part. I'm regretful that she did what she did. That
this is the complete story, as far as I know, from what Colin had told me, that he was friends with her brother.
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
He went to take care of her children. I might have. I've met many people.
You might have. Maybe I have met, and I didn't know it.
So yeah, I probably might have, but you went and you took care of her children. She is a single mom, and she has a couple of kids by different fathers. Let's just put that right out there.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
That did happen.
And then you went there out of the kindness of your heart to take care of her children. She has a job, but the thing is,
for about a little over 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm an overnight person. I don't live in the neighborhood, and I'm doing this.
This was in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. And I'm in Harlem, Manhattan. So while that's not like light years away from each other, but it's not right across the street or 10 blocks away either. There's a few miles involved, and her being in the part of the city she's in, and I'm in the part of the city that I'm in.
Right.
There is enough.
So you had to go there. You did. You wanted to take care of this family in a kind of way. You did take care of her children, and you paid out of your own pocket for a lot of things.
Well,
quite a bit. And then she complained about you eating her food or something like that. She got really territorial about this whole thing, and that is sort of the problem with being a friendly, generous person, is that you have to deal with other people. They are not going to be friendly and generous. Like I say, it doesn't matter how sweet a person might be on the outside. They can have all of the vitality and the joy and the wonder of life sucked out of them, and they'll become just as cynical as a lot of other people. And they look at life through those filters, and they'll see everyone else as being that way, and it really isn't that way at all.
I'm glad that you said this, because I find myself losing some of my friendly, not toward like my close friends like you. This would never happen. I still am basically a good person, but I am a little temperamental. I'm a little touched in the head now. Life will do that, and you'll find that sometimes
life will knock all the sweetness out of you.
It could. Yeah. Unless, of course, I'm around close friends like you. You have helped me to see life a little more positive and say, okay, at least I got one of my close friends back, because you know our situation, you know our history. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
not in this episode. We're running late.
But it's just one of those things that it comes with a balance. Life is not always sweet, even if you're a sweet person. You just have to understand that the kind of world we live in, not everybody's good, not everybody's bad. Most people have some of both in them, some more of one or the other, but I find that I have to kind of pace myself carefully about just how much I want to sacrifice for people that may or may not be worth it. You have to be careful and pick out. You don't go through life with blinders on, just being nice to everybody.
Exactly.
Or you can be nice to certain people, but you have to time it right. Sometimes there's a time to do that.
I think what is the most important thing is, however nice you're going to be, you always have to have a self-defense mechanism about you. You have to look out for yourself.
Well, it has to.
I understand that other people have their problems,
you know?
But ultimately you didn't create that problem.
Right.
If you're offering a temporary solution, if you're trying to help them in some way because you see they're a little bit destitute or down and out, it's fine to help them, but always be aware of yourself first.
Right.
I think that might even be in the Bible. I don't want to get into religion, but I would say in the Bible, love yourself first.
Well,
Part of loving other people is the ability to love yourself. If you're going to help people, help yourself.
Well, I've heard in the Bible it said, love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
Exactly.
And that's what I was trying to do that.
There it is.
Sometimes, that's
right there.
That's the Bible. But see, there's a good and an evil to that. See, you have people, you can do that for someone, but they may not do that for you, or someone may do that for you, and you may not do it back. Henceforth, there's the imbalance of human society.
Yes, what I would prefer to do.
And there you go. Not everyone follows the golden rule. Do others as good to them as you would have them do to you. Not everybody follows that.
But that is part of the logic. If there was a script to my life, it would be if I was going to help somebody, I would want to help somebody who's number one, worth my time. I know it's kind of greedy, selfish or whatever, But also,
no, I wouldn't say greedy. I would say
take a look. Take a look at
that's
these
a matter
people.
of character. That's in your nature to. Is this person worthy of my? That's a human.
But what if you're in a situation where you say, all right, I'm going to help these people, but I need to know in the back of my head, not for anybody else, would they do the same for me? Is that the most important thing?
Yeah.
This is what you have to look at. Now, the young lady that you were talking about, you help with the kids.
Yeah.
I don't think that she would actually help you.
Unless I'm paying out my nose, and she had the time. She's
Somewhere,
working.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I understand the family that you assisted today. That was really great. It's really awesome. But
these are people that are more sincere in my life.
But I have to say, I have to cringe because you were out there. You know, you had to go to a store and you helped them do some shopping or something like that.
Not a lot, though.
You were walking a drunken young lady around or something like that.
Luckily, she didn't even leave the building because I encouraged her to keep talking to an older lady that we saw downstairs. And this way she was out my head while I went up there and
I'm
did what I
glad
was
you did
supposed to
that,
do.
but the fact remains
she
that you
went back
did do
upstairs,
that, and I don't want our listeners to think that they can call you up at any time and say, Colin, do me a favor, I had a little too much to drink, go do some shopping for me. I don't want them to do that.
Well, not so much the older women in the house, but the younger one would be more like that. That's what you. That's an in-between situation.
Good-looking young woman, apparently, Colin will do anything for you. Whatever it is.
No, but I consider them more like extended family. I don't look
That's
at
a joke.
I don't look at them
joke.
as sexual, you know.
Sister-in-law.
Something like that. More like a cousin.
Exactly. Okay. So what have we learned today? Apparently we've learned that doing good deeds for people is a mixed bag. Sometimes there are rewards and sometimes there are not. What
sometimes
I enjoy...
you get spanked for your effort.
I enjoy people. That's the most important thing for me, and this is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is because I find people to be extremely interesting, at least to study. And Colin and I have been observers of human behavior for years. If we go ahead and analyze what they're doing, a lot of people out there, you have interactions with humans all the time. Sometimes you forget the people you just spoke to 5 minutes ago.
Yes, that definitely is me. My Sagittarius nature. I don't know if I live my life around my horse.
I have to say that Colin's birthday is coming up. He's going to be shy. How many years shy of 50? 7 years shy of 50.
Yes, that's correct.
He's an older gentleman, and he prefers action
age
figures, usually wrestling dolls. Anyway, let's finish up our podcast. I just want to say thank you again to my friend Colin for joining me on this. It has been an education, has it not?
And a privilege and an honor.
This is a great thing about living. Yeah. And I want to thank you. And when we get our RSS feed, please subscribe to this podcast because it's going to be extremely interesting, I promise you.